I'm Terry Yan. I teach in the Department of Design Merchandising, and I'm an associate professor. So the industry is unsustainable for a lot of different reasons. You can look at it from a design perspective, you can look at it from the use of materials perspective, and a lot of it comes from the production. And when it comes to sustainability, there is environmental impact of the clothing industry. There are also social impacts of the clothing industry. So to give you some examples about the environmental impacts. So a lot of the waters that we have to use in order to produce a t-shirt, so that excessive amount of water usage could be a waste of the water, right? And just to produce one t-shirt, I think it's, don't quote me on this, it's 60 gallon of water. I can't remember the number, but it's a lot of water to produce just one t-shirt. And so, and also you have the use of dyes on products, and the dye oftentimes will go into the river, and usually those chemicals might be harmful. They could pollute the river, which a lot of the where the factories are, the people working in the factories also drink the water from the river. So then that's also an environmental impact, which could impact people's health. If you look at the social impact, it depends on what you're looking at. If you look at the fast fashion, specifically when the fast fashion is low quality, low price clothing, but it really speaks to the trends. And because of the low price, a lot of times the factories, they would cut corners on, say, the factory facilities, and then will cut corners in terms of paying the minimum wages to their workers. So then it's not really the living wages, is the minimum wages that workers are paid to work in those factories. So then you have the social impact when, for example, a few years ago, there were a couple of incidents in Bangladesh where the factory collapsed, or the fire incident, and some people, over 1,000 people died from those different incidents, and that could be your social impacts, because the people who actually were hired to make clothing, which we buy, might not be paid well, they might not be working in the good working condition, and that's the social impact of the industry. My research area is sustainable consumer behavior, looking at how consumers might respond or how to different ways of living more sustainably. So that could include buying secondhand, buying less, and buying better. So not necessarily, because the overconsumption of is one of my recent projects, which I have going on with another faculty in the department. So we have been trying to understand college students' overconsumption of clothing, and to make we also have different events on campus to make sure, to hopefully they will be aware of the clothing industry, and then the impact of the industry that they could have brought to us as consumers. I teach retailing, consumer behavior, and merchandising in the department. So in consumer behavior, I teach sustainability in terms of hoping that students will be able to make smart choice as consumers. And that could be, for example, last fall I had a smart consumer guest speaker series. So I invited a guest speaker from the city of Fort Collins to come and talk about sustainable living in the city, how to recycle, and what's the impact of the students' transportation options, and what's the impact when you stop by the drive-through, and what could be the environmental impact when you just go through and then pick something quick from drive-through, but that has environmental impact. So that's one example. And I also have a guest speaker coming from the nutrition center on campus who she came to talk about how to eat smart and in a way how to be on the budget. So it might not be sustainable, but in a way, when you eat, say, organic food, it could be sustainable choices. But then if you want to eat sustainable food or organic food, how would you manage your budget to try to be healthy? So that's another aspect. In the merchandising class I teach, we talk about socially responsible sourcing, how companies or what companies have done to make sure that their sourcing decisions could be more sustainable and socially responsible. So maybe what kind of factories should apparel companies work with that would try to reduce the environmental and social impact of what they do. So that's that's an example. In retailing, I have taught students in terms of looking at different retailers, what they have done to be sustainable. So for example, REI as a retailer, they have tried to be environmental friendly. They have environmental initiatives. They also have different community projects that speaks to more about social initiatives. And Patagonia is another example, is another retailer, what they have done, and H&M, which is a fast fashion retailer, even though the concept might not be very sustainable, but as a retailer they try to have the recycling program, so that in a way could be a sustainable approach, which is controversial in some ways, but we discuss those different things that retailers might have done to try to be sustainable. Okay, so I think I kind of mentioned earlier, buy less, buy better. And this is a trade-off, because a lot of college students, they want to have style, they want to be on trend, they want to have stylish clothing, but they cannot afford to buy those good expensive pieces. That's why they go to Forever 21, they go to H&M. So to buy less, again, is a choice. You buy less and you buy better. And how do you buy better? Look at when you look at expensive clothing, it doesn't always mean that it's good quality, it will last long, but just in general, you can go to a store where maybe it's the brand has great potential on quality. Look at the construction, how the products are made. Look at how the buttons are sewn to the garment and whether they are secure. Look at the seams, whether it's naturally well done. If you pull the fabric apart, like from two pieces, whether you can actually see the opening or it's actually tightly seamed. So that's some indication about quality. And you can look at the threads and see and look at the stitches, say within an inch, the more stitches usually say the better quality, because then it won't come apart as easily. So I think buy less, buy better probably is the way to go. But if you do want to have some stylish, cute outfit, cute look once in a while, yes, you might want to spend some money on buying those cheap items. That's your choice. But maybe if you do that, think about ways to take better care of your clothing. So maybe do you have to wash it every time you wear the clothes? Or if you do wash it, make sure that you follow the care instructions so that they won't fall apart or the fabric will not just go bad as easily because you don't follow the care instructions. So those are just some tips. And of course, it's always a trade-offs, right? If you want to look cute every day, look trendy every day, it might not be the best approach for you to have to want to buy better and buy more expensive items, but there's a balance. So I think the tip is spend more money on where you spend most time with. So people are saying if you spend 8 hours in bed, so buy a really good mattress, you spend 8 hours probably a day wearing that outfit. You probably want to think about buying something that is quality item that is comfortable for you to put on, that fits your body. And you also feel better about yourself as well when you wear something that you feel good with. Yes, that's definitely another approach. So buying secondhand, I know a lot of students might not want to buy secondhand for various reasons, but it's actually a good way to be able to reuse items which other people might not want for other, of course, for their reasons. But if you can find the second life for the products that you can find at Goodwill, ARC, that's certainly a way to go, and it's cheaper. And if you, I know some students like to buy vintage. The vintage from 80s, 70s, the older items, they actually have better constructions. They actually are better quality items than what you can find today. So if you spend time going through the thrift stores, you might be able to find really good items, very cute items for a lot less, and it could be sustainable because you are not buying the new items so often, so much.